to be able to withstand the force. It has to be able to withstand the attack. Oh, it would be so nice if I could just kneel down up there and say, God, fix the church. And boom, the church is once again what it was. That ain't going to happen. It's a process. The beginning of that process is here. Making sure the building material is right. If my block is okay, and your block is okay, and your block is okay, and your block is okay, we can put all those blocks together and build our section of the wall. If we get good building material, we have something to start with. But you know, that's not enough either. What holds those blocks together is just as important as how good the blocks are. I can take a bunch of dry block and stack them up, and it don't take much to push them over. You need something that's going to hold them tight. And there's only one thing. And now I know why God put that scripture on my mind. We need to come together, assemble together as much as possible, so that that love and that fellowship and that communion and that strength that the one has when the other needs it will continually flow and hold us together so tight that nothing can pull us apart. That's why he says, forsake not the assembling of yourselves together. That's why he talks so much about the church edifying and supporting one another, lifting up those that are weak, supporting those that are weak, putting everybody else's needs ahead of your own. That's why he talks so much about that, because that's the mortar that holds us together. And if the mortar is no good, it don't matter if you got good block. They're not going to hold when the winds come. When the force comes, they are not going to hold. If we really want to see the church get back to what it was, the walls rebuilt and the gates put back up, this is where it starts. Again, it would be lovely. It would be awesome. It would be great. It would be whatever you can think of to say of how wonderful it would be if we could just kneel down here and pray and just boom, everything is once again restored. But that ain't going to happen. It don't work that way. It all begins in the heart. You got to have a heart for it. If you don't have a heart for it, you're not going to get there. It's not going to happen. The first thing to do is to get that heart for it. And I'm going to say this again. If you got to do it, you go get down on your face before God and pray, please break me. Give me that heart. Give me that heart of Christ. That heart I had that moment I was converted. You remember that? Such an overwhelming love and care and concern and compassion had just flooded in. And we lose that. And we get hard-hearted. And if we got to go back to God and cry for Him to break us and get us back to that, then that's what we got to do, because that's where it's got to start. Once you got that, you got to do like Nehemiah did. You got to go to God with a broken heart and weep and mourn and pray night and day and fast and do whatever it is that you need to do. And it's not a one-time thing. He did it for months before he got his opportunity. We've got to do that. And then when the opportunity arises, whether it's scary, whether it's something you can't see yourself doing, you never thought you could do, you got to do it. No matter how scary it is. Like he went to God before he spoke and had God give him what to say. Whatever it is that God brings you to, go to God. He'll give you the words, or he'll give you the actions, or the next move, or whatever it is that you need. And once you get to that point, then you get those other few that are on the same page you are on, and you go together. You make sure your building material is right. You make sure that the mortar that you use is going to hold. And then you can begin to build. And if we begin to build, and they begin to build, and they begin to build, pretty soon you got a wall. It's restored once again. Read through that and let the Spirit show you this is exactly what the church needs to do. And there will be those, just like they had those, their detractors that said, they think they can bring this back. They think they can restore this. They think they can bring something up out of the rubbish and the rubble. Oh, why, they might get something built up, but if a fox was to go upon it, it would crumble. There'll be those who say, what in the world are they doing over there? What do they think they're doing? They think they can do this and they think they can do that. They didn't let it stop them. And there will be attack after attack after attack. They worked with a tool in one hand and a sword in the other. And that's what we've got to do. I dare say everybody in here has been under attack. Whether it be through sickness or finances or family or situation or circumstance. That's an attack. Because I'm going to tell you something. Everything that happens to you affects you spiritually if you allow it. And Satan will use it. Even if he didn't bring it on, he'll jump on and use it. That's right. But if you got the sword in one hand and the tool in the other, you can persevere. And when it gets too bad, I mentioned this earlier, you know what they did? If they were having a problem over there on that section of the wall, they blew the horn. And everybody went to their aid. If it gets too bad, blow your horn. We're here. We're here for you. We're here to support you. We're here to pray with you. We're here to lift you up. We need to do these things if we're going to rebuild the wall. What if they're over there and they got a problem, and instead of blowing the horn because they're embarrassed, they try to do it on their own and their wall's knocked down? It don't do us no good to build the rest of the wall if their section's knocked down. If their building material ain't no good, if it ain't holding together, it's not going to do any good. We need to understand this. We need to really get this. If we are going to rebuild, this is how it must be done. This is the only way that it will work. Now listen, I can't control what they do over there. I can't control what they do over there. I got to work on the section God has given me to work on. I got to work on this, and then this material can go into the wall, and we can continue to build the wall. If we get our section finished, we can go help. But we're not going to be a help to them until our section is right. Until our piece of the wall is able to withstand. Until our piece of the wall is able to hold. You know, I've thought and prayed a lot about churches coming together and working together and doing all that stuff, but there's a way that it has to be done. We've got to do it God's way. I can't just go running all around the country telling them what they need to do. You need to fix your wall. You need to use this kind of material. You need to use this kind of mortar. You need to do this. I can't do that. And because they're going to look back and say, you're talking to me and you've got a gaping hole over there? I got to fix my part first. I've got to do this section first. Once I do that, then I can go and I can say, look, God showed me this will work. God showed me it will, and I'm here for you. Hey, if you need me to hand you something, I'll hand you. Just be there to help. Not to be the overseer, not to be the boss, not to be the foreman, but to be a help. Then we can do those sorts of things. And then things will start coming together and working. But it's got to be God's way. It's the only way that it'll work. It's the only way that we can do this. And I know I've probably repeated it already 5 times, but I'm going to repeat it again. You've got to start here. Anything else you do, you're already defeated unless you start here. This has got to be right first. Just like those bricks. They looked good. But as soon as I picked it up, they were in pieces. Are we really able to withstand the fire? Are we really able to withstand the storm? Are we really able to withstand attack? We got to make sure this block is good first. Once I know I got this, then it can become a part of the wall. And when your block and your block and your block and my block are all good, we put them together, we start to build something. But remember, just stacking them dry ain't going to work either. We have got to be so connected with one another that nothing can tear it apart, that nothing can break it down. And I will tell you something, and I have seen it a couple times over the last couple months. Little jealousies will get in. Little envies will get in. Little hurt feelings, little hard feelings. And I am going to tell you something. The tiniest little thing, if you let it in there, it will grow and it will get huge and it will put down roots And the devil will play with it and play with it and play with it. We can't let these things happen, or we'll never have a wall that will stand, because we won't have the mortar that is necessary to hold it together. I know I preached on this recently, but I got to put it in here. If something I said or somebody else said bother you, talk to them. Don't let it fester. Don't let it grow. If you think there's a problem, talk to somebody. Talk to that person. Otherwise, you're going to keep it in there, and it's just going to eat at you and eat at you and eat at you and cause a problem. We are children of God. We are born again. We are supposed to be able to come to one another in love and fix anything. Because I'm going to tell you something. Most of what we perceive as a problem really isn't. We make it a problem. You know, you can take one word the wrong way, or any number of things that will cause a huge division. Listen, we need to understand that these things can't be left go, because they will grow, they will fester, and they will cause a problem. And that's the love and the fellowship and the trust and all that is the mortar that's going to hold the wall together. If we don't have the mortar, we're not going to do anything. We've got to have that. If that's not right, then nothing's going to be right. You can slap it together with something, but when the force comes, it's going to crumble. It's going to go down. It's not going to hold. We get the block, we get the mortar, and we begin to put them together. Then we can build a wall. Then we can re-strengthen. Then we can restore. We can build the church back to what the church was supposed to be, to what God intended the church to be, to what Christ died for. But it's got to take all those things. And again, one more time, and I think I'll be done. It's got to start like Nehemiah started. You've got to hurt first. If it doesn't break your heart to see what has happened to the Church of Jesus Christ, you're not in the place to begin. You got to get to that place first. If it doesn't break your heart to see what is going on, you can't go on. That's got to be first. And once you have that broken heart, like he did, where he said he wept and he mourned. When you have that kind of a broken heart, now you're ready. Now you're ready to begin. Now you can start. When you have that broken heart and you weep and you mourn and you begin to cry out to God and you fast and you pray night and day. And again, it may take a while. From the best I can understand, this was a few months until we even got an opportunity to mention it to the king. We want everything just like that, right now, right now, right now. And if it don't happen right now, it ain't going to happen, and I might as well just quit. We can't do that. You know, when somebody decides to build a house or whatever, from the time they decide that to the time they actually put a shovel in the ground, it's a long time. They have to go get blueprints made up. They have to get approvals. They have to get permits. Their blueprints have to be... There's so much that has to happen before they even put a shovel in the ground. When we get to a point where we decide we want to see the church rebuilt, there's a process. There's things that have to happen before we lay the first block. And we need to understand that. And again, if we're committed, if we're broken, if we're to that point like Nehemiah was, God will bring it to pass. When the time is right, and when it's ready, and when we are ready. More importantly, when we are ready. I believe that time period was to prepare Nehemiah to do what was going to have to be done. That's how God prepares you through prayer, through fasting, and through supplication, through that brokenness, through all those things. And we've got to have that first, and we can't give up and quit. I'm going to tell you something, I'm going to be real honest. There's a lot of times I wanted to just quit. A lot of times, I'll be honest. I'll go home and I'll think, what am I doing wrong? Maybe I ain't supposed to be here. Maybe I ain't supposed to do this. Maybe I ain't supposed to do that. And that's what we do. I'm not going to just quit. What difference am I making? What if Nehemiah would have did that? God, I've been praying for a month and nothing happened. You ain't going to do nothing, so I'm not going to just go on. God, I've been praying for 2 months and nothing happened. I'm not going to just go on. They may never have got done. We're too quick to give up. How many times throughout the Bible do we read about waiting on God? Just waiting on God. But I want you to understand something. When the Bible says about just waiting, you ain't doing nothing. You're still seeking God. You're still praying to God. You're still believing God. You're still trusting God. It ain't like you just don't do anything. But you wait while you're doing these things until God says, now. If I can leave you with one thing, I want to leave you with this. If you're not at that point where you care that much about the body of Christ, then I believe you need to go and fall before God and ask Him to break you and give you that heart. If you don't care and that's not what you want and you think everything's fine and dandy, I'm doing good, then I think you need to ask yourself, why am I even here? What am I even doing? Do I think I'm getting brownie points with God? Do you not? If your heart ain't in it, you're making no impression on God. I'm going to tell you something, whether you realize it or not, you probably all know. This thing is about the heart. Yeah. This whole thing is about the heart. It's not about emotions and traditions and ceremonies and getting points for doing this and points for doing that and giving 10%. It's about your heart. Yes. You do all these other things because you have a heart for God. If you're not doing these things because you have a heart for God, you might as well not do them. They're not acceptable. They're like the things I was talking about that God said, you make me sick. They're vain oblations. Praise me with your lips, but your hearts are far from me. They went through all the ceremony, did all the right things, went through the right motions, said everything right, did everything right. But God said, your heart is far from me. I really believe we have an opportunity. I believe we are at a place. As I said, there's a time to every purpose under heaven. God has a time, and I believe we are in that time. This is our chance. This is our opportunity. God has been sending a message. God has been preparing people. God has been tilling the ground. God has been planting seeds. This is our time. But if we're not prepared, it's going to pass us by. We've got to get prepared like Nehemiah got prepared. I will stop there and I will trust that the Spirit gives you what you need for that. And I would encourage you, just go read it with that thought in your heart and mind. The same holds true for the church. And you can take these physical walls and the physical things that happen there and bring them into the spiritual, and the same thing has to happen. The Old Testament shows you how God works. It's so clear throughout the Old Testament how God works and what He expects and what He does in return. It's just so obvious. We need to look at it that way. We need to look for those things in there. They're not just stories of amazing things that happen, though they are that. But through those amazing things that happen, we see the nature and the character of God. We see how God works, how God moves, what God requires, what's expected on our end. We see all those things. And there's so much to be learned. There's so much to be gained by going in there and letting the Spirit just bring it out to you. I'll stop.